Welcome to my channel Itachi Fanfics. This story about what if Naruto is a laboratory experiment in the world of Bleach. Chapter 1. Subscribe to my channel and just enjoy watching. Let's start, guys.
Naruto sits on his bed as he stares at the crescent moon on the night sky from his bedroom. Well, bedroom would be the wrong word to use in this situation. The white single bed, chair and desk with a lamp weren't the things to describe the room of a child. Prison would be more appropriate. As Naruto continues to look at the moon, he thinks back to how he got here. Naruto never knew about his parents. He was told that he was found at the doorsteps of the orphanage before he was taken in. The only thing on his person when he was taken in was an orange blanket he was wrapped in with his name etched into it in a blue and white striped scarf. Although Naruto could recall a warm feeling enveloping his body. It was warm and comforting like a fireplace. He wondered if that was a memory of his parents, but how remember something from when he was baby? Could it be some instinctual connection that allows him to recall the feeling? But that wasn't the only thing he remembered. He could also remember several other feelings. One that felt very cold like winter. It felt like death itself had its grip on him. Second was hot. Not the warm comforting kind, but like a burning inferno. It felt like hate incarnate had been given physical form. That one terrified him as he recalled it. B. Also felt the warm one trying to soothe his worries. The last one was the oddest of them all. It was cold, but not like the other one. This one felt different, as it was an empty void that left him feeling nothing. However, the part was that he did not feel any danger from it. In fact, he felt comforted, at peace in its presence. Naruto never understood what these feelings meant, and even now he has no idea what any of these feelings could exactly represent or belong to. Not like it would help him. Current situation. He recalled his days in the orphanage were relatively peaceful, all things considered. He had a roof over his head, got at least 3 meals a day, and had people that wore about his well-being. It was a decent lifestyle. He had a small group of friends that he hung around with, although they would tease him about his birthmarks as they looked like whiskers. Although one of his friends never tease him. Her name was Namine. She would always say his birthmarks made him look cute. That always got him to blush, but he always did appreciate her words. There was one other thing that separated Naruto from the rest of the children. On several occasions, Naruto could be seen talking to himself. And not comments to himself. Actually have full-blown conversations. Many of the adults just assumed he created an imaginary friend and saw no reason to say anything. The other children thought Sam was off with him and tended to keep a distance from him. Even his friends, except Namine, thought he was kinda weird for this. What they didn't know was that Naruto was not talking to himself. He had a special gift. He could feel, see, and communicate with departed spirits. Naruto first noticed his abilities when he was 3. He was trying to talk to a spirit that was sulking near the playground of the orphanage. The spirit was shocked that he could see him, let alone talk to him. He then slowly explained to Naruto that he was a spirit and Naruto had a special power that allowed him speak to spirits. Being any normal 3-year-old, Naruto was having difficulty processing everything, but he was excited to hear that he was someone special. Ever since then he talked to any spirits that wandered into the orphanage. Apparently, his presence attracted the spirits. However, he was not the only one who could see Namine would later reveal she could see spirits. Naruto was excited to have another person that he could talk to about spirits without looking crazy. All was going well. That was until the fire that consumed the entire orphanage. He doesn't know who or what started it, but he remembers vividly what it felt like to be in that inferno. It was something that still haunts him to this day. The fire covered the entire building as the temperature continued to rise to unbearable levels. Smoke covered the entire area and made it impossible to see a few feet ahead. Toxic smog could easily cause people to go into a coughing fit. Naruto clutched his arm and leg in pain from the burns he received from the falling debris. He used his scarf as a makeshift bandage. Namine was clutching his other side, sobbed at their desperate situation. The two had tried to escape from the inferno, but they got lost on their way and are now huddling in a corner with nothing protecting T. Naruto, I'm scared. What's going to happen to us? Namin desperately asked. Naruto gritted his teeth in pain as looked at Namin with pained, but determined eyes. I'll out. I don't know how, but I will. That's when the two began to hear some cricking. The two children looked up to see the burning ceiling about to collapse. Namin, go. I can't run like this. But you can at least get out of the way. Naruto shouted. Namin shook her head vehemently. No, I won't leave you. Namin, please, I don't want you to get hurt. Naruto pleaded, but Namin held on to him even tighter. I refuse to leave you alone to die here. Namin cried. Agaknu Naruto could not get out of the way due to the injuries to his arm and leg, and she refused to leave him all alone. Suddenly the roof began collapsing down on them. Namin held onto Naruto and closed her eyes and waited for the inevitable. Naruto glared at the falling down upon them. No. I don't want Namin or myself to die here. I don't want us to die. I want to live. Naruto shouted as his vision was covered in darkness and everything became silent. The next thing Naruto knew was that he could breathe normally again. He slowly blinked his eyes as he realized he was staring at a cloudy night sky as rain poured down. Could hear sirens of the firemen and police not too far from him. Naruto then heard behind the sirens and rain, he could hear someone sobbing. He turned to see Namin crying as she had her face in her hands as she did not notice he w. Awake. Naruto swallowed as he tried calling out. Namin. He weakly asked. Namin paused as she lifted her head to show her puffy red eyes and tear-stained cheeks. Naruto. She asked hesitantly. Naruto nodded. Namin quickly brought him into a tight hug. She quickly began crying again as she was so glad to see he was all right. Naruto did his best to calm the girl's worries as she continued to cry for several minutes. After some time, Namin was finally calmed down enough for Naruto to ask her something. Namin, what happened? How did we get here? How are we still alive? He asked, but Namin sadly shook her head. I don't know, Naruto. All I remember was the debris coming down and then everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, we were here. She explained. Naruto was completely stumped. How did they get out of there without any injuries? More importantly, what were they gonna do now that the orphanage was gone? Then children felt a presence behind them as a shadow appeared as it covered their small bodies. The two children turned to see a man standing behind them. He was around average height with shaggy brunette hair. He wore a pair of glasses and his body was covered. Black cloak. The thing that was off to the children was his smile. It looked so artificial, so fake. It was like seeing a doll smiling. It felt plastered. Not genuine. Two children that are spiritually aware, and at such a young age. The stranger mused as then looked at the remains of the orphanage as the fire began to go down. That power you used to get out of that burning building. How interesting. Naruto tilted his head in confusion. What power? The man raised an eyebrow in curiosity. You were not aware of what you did. Then perhaps it was triggered by your desire to survive. The man's smile grew bigger. You two have caught my interest. Naruto moved his workable arm in front of Namin as she tried to hide behind his back. Who are you? A nervous Namin asked. The man simply continued to smile as if their actions amused him to no end. My name is Sosuke Aizen, and from this day forward, you two will be under my custody. The two were enveloped in darkness once more. For the next 3 years, all Naruto knew was pain and suffering. The man called Aizen and his assistant, Zale, would continuously stab, poke, and rip his body apart. And day out. It was pure utter hell for poor little Naruto. One day, Naruto was once again strapped to the lab table, and he idly wondered what did Zale have in store for him this time. He turned his head when he heard footsteps approaching him. From the shadows Zale came out with that same arrogant smirk. What was different this time was that he was holding a sword in his hands. Evening. Naruto, how are you feeling? I hope my favorite project is doing well. Zale politely asked as Naruto scoffed. You already know the answer to that. Yes, but a surgeon should give courtesy to his patient. Forgive me if I don't see it that way. Suit yourself. Zale shrugged before lifting the sword in his hands up. Now then, can you tell me what this is? It's a Zanpakuto. It's the signature weapon of the Shinigami, Arankar, and Visored. They are blades that are a piece of the Shinigami's soul formed into a weapon. It's a lit extension of the Shinigami and is unique to each one. Every Zanpakuto has a unique name that represents the spirit residing within the blade. Their powers and abilities are based on the soul of the Shinigami. Arankar's Zanpakuto are manifestations of their power and are used to seal away the majority of their power when not in combat. Viso. Simply Shinigami that have hollow powers. Zale clapped with a prideful look in eyes. Very good, Naruto. I am sure Aizen will be pleased that you paid attention to his lessons. Naruto simply stared at the Arankar. He was well aware of what a Zanpakuto was. When Naruto wasn't used as a lab rat, Aizen would personally teach him about the world. Was now a part of. He was educated on the Zanpakuto, the Shinigami, the Gote 13, Hollows, Haweko Mundo, Manos, Arankar, etc. Aizen even trained Naruto in the Kido arts. Was honestly surprised to see how adept Naruto was in the arts. Whether Bakudo, Hado, healing or barrier, Naruto took it all like a fish to water. To Aizen, it was like seeing another version from himself, which amused him to no end. So why do you have a Zanpakuto? I know that's not yours since I can clearly see yours still sheathed on your hip. Did you make a clone of it? Naruto asked as Zale show head. An amusing idea, but not exactly. You see this as a nameless Zanpakuto or an Asachi. I am sure Aizen explained how the Shinigami Academy works, correct? Naruto nod. Well, each new graduate is given a blade like this. They are to eat. I am in a rather depressed state. What's worse, without H couldn't get updates on Namin. Things took a turn for the worse as now Noitra had no one to stop him from his bullying of little Naruto. However, Naruto finally snapped during one of his Noitra's attack, revealed that he was the reason that Nell was gone. I'll let you know something. I was the one that got rid of Nalil. I killed her useless fraction, which distracted her enough to deliver a finishing blow on her. Noitra law. That bitch was so pathetic. It served her right to fall by me. She was unworthy of being the Tres Espada. She was too soft to be amongst our ranks. And soon I will be one. Closer to being the strongest Espada here. That was the final straw that broke Naruto. Suddenly the moon began to glow in a golden aura as the area began to darken. Noitra and his fraction, Tessera, were stumped. Was going on. That was until they felt a fierce spiritual pressure surround them. They looked to see Naruto glaring hatefully at him. Naruto's entire body was covered in a blue and black aura as his eyes were glowing an eerie yellow. Naruto had never felt so angry in his life. All the pain he suffered under Aizen and Zale, they were all coming out, and Noitra would be the unfortunate target of all that. Naruto raised his hand as a giant blue and white claymore appeared. This was another weapon he discovered. He paused. He named the claymore Lunatic. Without much warning, Naruto disappeared in a blur before reappearing right in front of the fifth Espada. Noitra had little time to react as he was slugged by Naruto with his claymore. The sheer force of the blow was strong enough to slam him into the wall. Tessera was shocked at what he just saw and glared at the brat for insubordination. He fired a Sero. Teach the brat to respect his superiors. However, Tessera was shocked when Naruto managed to block the attack with his claymore. Naruto then slammed his claymore into gut before wailing on the bastard before slamming him into the wall. Noitra glared at Naruto as he got out of the wall. You little bastard. You'll pay for that. Noitra roared as he began charging a Sero. Naruto quickly changed to his ethereal blades and pumped all the power he could into palms. Sero. Noitra roared. Naruto roared back as he summoned an energy wall to block the hollow flash. Naruto was pushed back several feet back before he finally found footing. You're going die brat like that green-haired bitch. Noitra mocked as he failed to realize the landmine he kept stepping on. Naruto glared at the fifth Espada as his spiritu pressure exploded again. What? Noitra shouted in shock. How much power did this brat have? With one last roar of defiance, he pumped the rest of spiritual energy into the wall and reflected. Sero back at Neutra. The fifth Espada was left stunned as he was hit with his own attack. Naruto fell to his knees, completely exhausted. From the smoke came Neutra with a slightly burned chest. You brat. That's it. You're going to die now. Neutra roared as he unsheathed his Zanpakuto. Pray. Neutra began to chant as he was about to release his Zanpakuto, but. Enough. Someone said. The two turned to see Tucson with a frown on his face. Stand D. Neutra. Neutra glared at one of Aizen's right-hand men. This brat needs to be taught some respect. He's gotten too full of himself. As if it justified everything he was doing. Tucson merely raised an eyebrow. Like you did when you attacked Nalil. Neutra stiffened at this. Make no mistake. Aizen was not pleased with your actions. The only R. That you have not been punished is because of how difficult it is to replace Espada. Fortunately, we found someone that will likely fill in Nell's position. Neutra merely growled at this. You will not put the boy in any more harm nor will try to harm Namin. If you try to harm the girl, I will correct you. Now you may leave or may give me the incentive to remind you of your position. Fine. Neutra growled as he began walking away with Tessera close behind. The two were about to pass Tucson when someone spoke up. I'll kill you. The Espada and his F. Stopped as the three turned to see Naruto glaring at Neutra. What did you say, brat? Neutra said in a dangerous tone. Naruto's glare intensified as he growled like a wild animal. One day I will become more powerful than anyone could possibly imagine and I will kill the Espada. And you will be the first one to die. I will humiliate you and make sure everyone sees you for the pathetic instinct that you truly are. I will make you beg for mercy, but you'll get none. Got that, you filthy insect? Why you? Neutra was about to walk forward if not for the tip of Tucson's blade pointed right at his neck. Neutra, leave. I will not ask a third time. Tucson warned. Na glared at the two before he scoffed and walked away. Tucson sighed as he sheathed his sword before looking at Naruto. Let's go, Naruto. Tucson said as he picked the boy up and brought Naruto back into his room. As Tucson was about to leave, Naruto asked him something. Why? Tucson turned to see Naruto looking at the moon. Naruto then turned to Tucson. Why do you follow Aizen? I follow him for he is following the path with the least amount of bloodshed. His path is the path of justice. Naruto scowled. Forgive me for not seeing how torturing a child counts as justice. Sometimes, sacrifices are necessary for the greater good. Naruto then turned to look at Tucson. What about Nell? Was she just a necessary sacrifice? Naruto asked with a heated glare. Nell's demise was an unfortunate event. However, it will not be repeated. Tucson reasoned. The two stayed in silence as Naruto asked one last thing. Who will watch Ovino? At the moment Ulquiorra will be watching over Namin. We will have a possible candidate for you soon. Tucson explained as he began to walk out, but stopped as he watched to exit the room. Naruto, you may not believe it, but Aizen's cause is just. He will bring order to this chaotic world. Your pain is simply a stepping stone to that goal. The last thing Tucson said as he left the room. Naruto sighed as he sat up on his bed as he looked up to the moon, and that's where we find him now. I need to get the hell out of here, Naruto muttered. He wanted to go to Namin, but he had no clue where she was, even when he tried to sense for her. Plus, even if he DTO her, there was no way he would have a chance against Ulquiorra. He needed to find a way out and get some help. He looked up to see the bars of his window. Maybe my claymore can do something to those bars. Naruto mused to himself as he got off his bed and walked up until just below the window. He then summoned his claymore as he unleashed his Reiatsu once more. The familiar feeling of the blue aura soon enveloped his body again. He jumped to the bars of his window and with a loud war cry, he slammed Lunatic into the bars. The result was instantaneous as the bars flew out and went flying out into the sandy arena. Naruto, not taking any chances, quickly ran up to the window and jumped right off. Naruto was free falling into the sandy arena of Hueco Mundo as he used his spiritual and create platforms to slow down his descent. Eventually, Naruto reached the sandy ground and he ran as fast as he possibly could. Little did he know was that he was being watched. On the top of the castle, Las Noches, Aizen, and Tucson watched Naruto as he ran into the barren wasteland of the Hollow's world. Aizen, is it wise to let him go like that? Tucson asked. Yes, let's allow the child to have his freedom, Aizen said with a smile as he continued to watch Naruto run into the distance. But won't this endanger our plans? Tucson, in confusion. On the contrary, this will be an excellent way to see how far the boy will go, Aizen said as Tucson looked at him in confusion. Seeing the frown, Aizen decided to elaborate. Can only gather so much data in Hueco Mundo. His abilities are unique, and he could easily develop more depending on the right stimulation. I want to see what he can down. Besides, Aizen said as turned away and began to walk back inside Las Noches. Wherever he goes, we'll meet again. Damn it, Naruto swore. Escaping was proving much more difficult as Naruto was soon ambushed by a small horde of hollows. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but far too exhausted to handle these fodder hollows now. I need to get out of here. Naruto mentally shouted as he fell to his knees. Naruto looked up to see himself surrounded by the small horde of hollows. Naruto had one last idea that could help him get out of this mess. It was long shot as it was in. He had never tested in combat yet, but he was desperate enough to try anything. Before the hollows could jump him, Naruto was enveloped in a cocoon of darkness as headasappered with the hollow attacks hitting nothing. Back in the castle of Las Noches, in a room similar to Naruto's, a young blonde-haired girl was drawing a picture of Naruto in her sketchbook before she suddenly paused. Looked out her window as she felt Naruto's presence disappear. Good luck, Naruto-kun. I hope I get to see you again, Namine said sadly. Naruto felt himself floating. The best way to describe it was similar to being in the water. He felt weightless in an endless abyss of darkness. Suddenly he felt himself slam the cold, hard ground. Naruto groaned from the hard landing. He soon felt something pelting his body. It was raining. Great, Naruto thought as he shivered from the cold water hitting his body. Does life enjoy screwing me over? Yade, a voice said. Using the little strength he had left, Naruto looked up to see a man with an umbrella staring down at him. He was quite tall with messy, pale blue hair and gray eyes. What Naruto noticed the most was the man's green and white bucket hat and the obnoxious big smile on his face. Naruto could tell one thing though. This man was not normal. He could feel the Raryoku coming from this man. This man was a Shinigami. Naruto felt like recognized the but could not put his finger on it. I have an unexpected customer. The man cheerfully said with a gigantic smile. It was the last thing Naruto heard and saw before he lost consciousness again. Naruto found himself floating in the middle of an endless black abyss. He couldn't feel anything. Not his limbs, or even any warmth or cold. It was just an empty void that stretched on forever without any foreseeable end. He was not scared, merely curious about where he could be. He knew he escaped Hueco Mundo and landed somewhere. Human world. The pain he felt as he landed proved that. But now he wasn't sure where he was. Did he slip again using the corridor of darkness accident when he lost consciousness again? If so, how will get out now? Before he could ponder any more, he began to hear a voice. Naru, 2. Naruto paused in thought. That voice sounded familiar. Uto. Wa. K. Up. He could almost recognize the voice. It was of a girl. Naruto, please wake up. Naruto's eyes widened as he finally connected the voice to a name. Namine. He shouted as he began to thrash around in a frenzy trying to find a direction to move to. Suddenly, Naruto saw a light began to peer through the darkness of the void. Naruto began moving as he tried to get closer to the light. The closer the light, the louder the voice of Namine became. Naruto. The voice of Namine shouted as Naruto reached the light and was blinded by it. Namine was the last outcry from the blonde before everything went white. Naruto moaned as his eyes fluttered open. At first, everything was rather blurry. Strange shadow over him. Naruto blinked a few times to allow his eyes to adjust themselves. Out of everything he expected, the last thing that Naruto expected to see woke up was a middle-aged man looking down at him. Arg! Naruto shouted in shock as he tried to shove the man away as he leaned in closer. Those are some impressive lungs. It seems you have recovered N. Who the hell are you? Naruto demanded. Just where in the hell did he land? And who the hell was the pervert in his bed? Oi boss. Our guest has awakened. The man called out, which caused Naruto to pause. Who was this boss? Oh really? Excellent. The two men turned to see the door slide open. Out came the same man that Naruto saw before he lost consciousness. The two men sat across Naruto as he lifted himself up. He quickly noticed the bandages around his arms and chest. He looked up to the older blonde and his assistant. You two the ones that banged me up. The blonde took out a small fan as he waved it with a giant smile. That's right. I couldn't let a child stay out there in the cold. Nar. Deadpan at him, but mentally he was curious. This man looked so familiar, but where? He was a Shinigami based on the spiritual energy he could feel, which means he may. Him from Aizen's lectures. Maybe a name could help. Who are you? Naruto asked. Isn't polite to give your name first. He teased. Naruto snorted but answered. My name is Naruto. I have no surname to my recollection. My name is Urahara Kazuki. And you are at my shop. So I must ask, what were you doing out there? Naruto's eyes widened when he heard the name. How the hell could he see it? This was the man that Aizen acknowledges but also desires to surpass. He was the one Shinigami that had the item that Aizen sought. The creator of the Hogyoku, one Aizen framed for the holification of several captains and lieutenants of the Gote 13. Why would a former Shinigami captain be running a candy shop? Naruto asked in confusion. The two men looked at another before laughing uncontrollably. Now what you be talking about? I am no death god. I am just a simple shopkeeper. Urahara said in a joking manner. Naruto just glared in annoyance at the facade that Urahara put. Looks like he'll have to be blunt to get him talking. Urahara Kazuki. Former captain of Squad 12 and founder of the Research and Development Division. Also creator of the Hogyoku. An item that can break the barriers bet. Shinigami and Hollow. You were exiled along with the Vizards. Yoruichi Shihoin, and Tessai for crimes you didn't commit. Tell me, do I sound like I don't know what I am about? Naruto challenged. The air soon became thick with tension as the two men and child stared at one another. The three stayed in complete silence for what seemed like hours until Urahara spoke. Again. Yade. What a troublesome child I seem to have taken in. He said as he waved his fan. Tell me a bit about yourself, Naruto. As you seem to know all about only courteous you tell us about yourself. After all, we did save you. Naruto looked at the former Shinigami captain before sighing. I don't have much to tell you. I was left on the doorsteps of the local orphanage. No clue who my biological parents are. The only things I was left with was an orange blanket with my name on it and a scarf. I learned about my ability to see spirits when I was 3. This caused Urahara's and Tessai's eyes to rise up, as it's very rare for any spiritually aware human to awaken at such an early age. I also had a friend named Namin, who could also see spirits. Then a fire started that engulfed the entire orphanage. Everyone I knew was dead, and the only ones alive we myself and Namin. The two of us were trapped in that raging inferno, and both of us should have died as the building collapsed on top of us. But when I woke from the BL, myself and Namin were outside in the rain. When I asked her what happened, she said she didn't know. The last thing she remembered was the building falling on us, and then we were outside. Urahara raised an eyebrow, curious at what Naruto just retold. It sounded like he awoke his latent powers and saved himself and his friend. Though it's still impressive for human to awaken their powers without being constantly exposed to or near a powerful spiritual being like a Shinigami. That would mean those powers existed since he was. That still doesn't explain how you ended at our doorstep, Naruto. Urahara pressed as he was curious how Naruto ended up at his shop. Naruto sighed. When Namin and I got bearings again, we approached by a man. He said we could be interesting test subjects. So he took us to his lair in Hueco Mundo. 3 years, I was made into that bastard's guinea pig for his experiments. I finally had enough and busted out of my cell and ran away. But in the midst of that, I got attacked by a horde of hollows, but I was too weak to handle them. So I used an untested ability to get out of there. Next thing I know, I land in front of your shop. Naruto, who was the man that abducted you? Urahara asked. Suddenly the two felt an incredible reiatsu being released by Naruto. Naruto glared at the two as his teeth in rage as thought about the bastard that screwed over his life. It's a man you know all too well. He's the one who caused you, Tessai, Yoruichi, and the Vizoredsexled. Sosuke Aizen. Naruto spat the name as if it was venom in his mouth. Urahara and Tessai's eyes widened before they narrowed in rage as they remembered Aizen all. Well, I see. Urahara mused. Naruto, if it's not too much, I would like you to explain what happened to you in Hueco Mundo. Boss, I don't think. Tessai began until Naruto interrupted. It's fine. I was planning on telling you anyways. Naruto sighed before he began retelling everything that happened him under Aizen. The Arankars, his desire to find the Hogyoku, his pseudo-Hogyoku he has created, the dissections, the mock battles with hollows, Aizen teaching him ABO. Kido arts and his world, and the ripping out of pieces of his soul. By the time he was done, the temperature around Kazuki and Tessai had dropped drastically as they reflexively released their reiatsu. Tessai gripped his knees as his neck turned white, while Kazuki was gripping his fan so hard that it was cracking under the pressure. Eventually, the two men sighed as they allowed themselves to calm down. Have my sympathy, Naruto. Tell me, what do you plan to do now? Naruto glared at the man. What do you think? I am going back to save Namin. Urahara gave him a grim look and preparing himself for the bomb that was about to go off with his next statement. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I can't allow you to do that, A regretful tone. Naruto snarled in rage. What the hell makes you think you can stop me? Naruto shouted before he was slammed back onto his bed by Kazuki's cane. Glared to see the impassive stare of the former Gote captain. Look how easily I slammed you back into the bed. If you go back to Hueco Mundo, you'll die. That is if you even make it to Hueco Mundo. Urahara lectured. Then I will just wait till I recover. Naruto defiantly declared as Kazuki simply shook his head. That won't change anything. You said it yourself. You were on constant watch. Aizen's castle. Not to mention, Aizen probably has security and monitors watching the entire palace. You would have to figure out how to get through all that to get to your friend. Especially since you don't even know where she was kept for the 3 years you were there. Besides, even if you manage to get to Namin, do you honestly expect fight all of his Arankar and win? Naruto growled as he glared at the man pinning him down. He knew Kazuki was right, but it was still a bitter pill to swallow. That he was utterly powerless to help Namin. Moment. What do you expect me to do then, Urahara? Naruto said in a weak tone. Urahara smiled as he had already devised a plan to help Naruto. I have a proposition. You. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Why don't you stay here in my humble shop? Kazuki said as he began to wave his fan. Naruto blinked in confusion. What? Tessai can complete your Kido training. I can get an old friend to train you in Hoho and Hakuda, and I can help you train your abilities. While your abilities may not be Shin, they were formed after Zanpakuto fragments were infused with your soul, so I believe similar training methods can be used. I may be able to find out more about your abbey. And see what other weapons you can unlock from them. What do you say? Naruto stared in shock at the proposal. The invitation was appealing. Under Kazuki, he'll have a nice home with people that actually care of his well-being. These people Captain class level fighters in Kazuki's case, a former captain. He was one of the few men if not the only person that could match Aizen in cunning and intelligent. But, Naruto bit his lips. Could he really just stay here and leave Namin all alone in Hueco Mundo? How can I just leave Namin alone? Naruto asked softly as he looked. See Urahara's gentle and sympathetic gaze. I am not asking you to abandon your friend, Naruto. I am asking you to become my student. I promise to teach you to the be my abilities. I will make you powerful enough that you could face off against nearly all the captains of the Gote 13 to the point that they will need their Bankai to face you. Will I be strong? Naruto asked as Urahara smiled. Yes. Very strong. Will I be able to face Aizen and his Arankar? Urahara shrugged. That will all depend on you, Naruto. The little blonde sighed. He had little options, so as he closed his eyes and took a deep breath in and then slowly exhaled. He opened his eyes to give Urahara a determined glare. I accept your offer, Urahara. Urahara gave a big smile as he began to wave his fan. Excellent. Now you rest up F. Next couple of days. We'll have a sparring match so I can see your capabilities. For now rest. Naruto nodded as he adjusted to get some sleep. Kazuki left with Tessai following close behind. The former captain had to make a few calls to some old friends. A few days later, all right Tessai, why did Urahara call us here? Asked an irate man. He looked to be in his mid to late 20s with short blonde hair in a bowl cut. He had squinty eyes with piercing on his tongue. The most noticeable thing of his appearance was the Zanpakuto in his arm. This was Shinji Hirako. The other occupant was a black cat with amber ethos was Yoruichi Shihoin. Come down to the training arena and you'll find out. The two grumbled as they followed the assistant shopkeeper down. The first thing the two noticed was Kazuki was in middle of the arena with a blonde kid. Who's the kid? Some stray you picked up? Shinji asked. Tessai shook his head. His name is Naruto. He'll be in our care for the foreseeable future as our student. Since when has Kazuki been interested in children? An incredulous Yoruichi asked. After all, in all the time that she has known Kazuki, he was never a kid's person. Hell, barely a people's person. Naruto is unique. We found him at our doorstep after he escaped from Hueco Mundo. That got the attention of the two occupants. So he's a runaway spirit. Tessai shook head. Nope. He's human. He's been spiritually aware since he was 3, but one day he and his friend were abducted by someone. Shinji and Yoruichi looked at each with confusion before looking back at Tessai. What does this have to do with us? Shinji asked. The one who kidnapped them was Aizen. A grim look passed over Shinji's and Yoruichi's faces. I see. So that's what this is about. What does the kid want? Yoruichi asked. Naruto wants to save his friend, but we both know that is impossible with his current power. Even if he did manage to get back to Hueco Mundo, Aizen won't be as merciful. Neither will his followers. So you plan to train the kid for what? To bust in and save his girlfriend. No offense, but what could a spiritual human capable of doing against a Shinigami, especially Aizen? Yoruichi asked. Sure, she felt for the kids, but no human regardless of their spiritual abilities could match a Shinigami. The gap is just too wide. It was a harsh truth that would have to accept. But Kazuki wouldn't just agree to train the boy if he didn't see or feel something special about him. Well, considering the boy was able to reflect a Sero of an Arankar. Not to mention that Aizen took interest in his abilities. I think that warrants at least some attention. Seems to get the attention of two exiles as looked towards the two blondes. Well, let's see what the kid got, Shinji said as the three observed the sparring match that was about to begin. Bleach asked. What can you see in their eyes? Ready Naruto? Urahara asked as he took a blade out of his cane. Hell yeah! Naruto exclaimed as he released his Reiatsu as he was enveloped in a black aura. Everyone their eyes widen at the amount of Reiatsu Naruto was releasing. Holy! That's the Reiatsu I would feel from a seated officer. How can a child have so much spiritual power at a young age? An impressed and shocked Yoruichi asked. If I have to guess, his Reiatsu is equivalent to a 5th seat officer, correct? Shinji commented as he looked at test confirmation. That sounds about right. Now let's see what happens. Tessai replied as the three looked back to the spar. Alright then. Looks like I may fun in this fight. Kazuki asked Iamu's tone. Oh, you'll have fun, Naruto warned as he disappeared in a blur. Shunpo. Everyone exclaimed mentally. Naruto suddenly appeared above Urahara's head. Ethereal blades ignited from his palms. Naruto swung his blades downward, but the former captain simply Y raised his cane sword and blocked the two strikes. Naruto grunted as he tried to push his blades forward, but Urahara did not budge an inch. Naruto clicked his tongue in annoyance as Urahara merely smirked in amusement. You'll have to do better than that, Naruto. Urahara teased as he pushed his sword arm forward, which sent Naruto flying back a few feet. Naruto looked up to see Urahara in front of him with his cane sword above his head. Naruto reacted quickly as he jumped back to avoid the downward slash. Naruto retracted his ethereal blades as he glared at Urahara. If a frontal attack won't work, let's you handle this, he roared as he fired multiple ethereal blades from the palm of his hands. Kazuki smirked as he easily dodged, blocked, and parried all of the blades that were fired at him. When he looked back to see Naruto's next move, only to see him with a weapon. He blinked in confusion as in Naruto's hand was a black book. This made him raise an eyebrow. What could the book do? Naruto smirked as the book began to glow. Hell view, he muttered. There was a flash of light that blinded Kazuki for a second. When the light dimmed, he looked to see everyone was gone. Before he could ponder what just happened, a rumbling sound caught his attention as the entire area began to shake uncontrollably. Now, what could you be planning, Chan? Suddenly the ground broke apart as lava spewed from the newly formed crater as a giant black serpent arose from the molten ground. Urahara raised an eyebrow as the monstrous creature hissed at him. An illusion. Well, I can't really say I am surprised. You were under Aizen, so it stands to reason one of your abilities will revolve around illusions. A rather effective one at that. I actually could feel the vibrations from the quake and the heat coming from the lava. Pretty good illusion. But Urahara ran before releasing his Reiatsu. Suddenly the entire area began to crack as it was made out of glass. Then, like glass, the area shattered with the illusion disappearing and everything back to how it origina was. Urahara quickly got his bearing as Naruto came up right in front of him with his right index and middle fingers pointing at Urahara's face. Hado number 4. Byakurai White Lightning. Naruto shouted as an arc of lightning erupted from his fingers as it made a beeline for Urahara's face. However, Urahara was an former captain for nothing. Using his insane reaction speed, he tilted his head to avoid the lightning attack. He looked back to see Naruto smirking at him. Bakudo number 4. Heinawa, Slithering Rope. Naruto shouted as an electric yellow rope came from his hands as they wrap around Kazuki. Naruto raised his two palms forward and shouted, Hado number 33. Sokatsui, Blue Fire, crash down. Naruto shouted as blue flames were released from H. As Urahara was hit from the close-range attack. The close collision caused a large explosion to envelop the two. The spectators covered their eyes as dust and debris from the explosion passed over them. Damn, I have to admit, this kid has some skills. Shinji couldn't help but compliment. Agreed. He's also an adept user of Kido. He used 3 different Kidos one after the other. Not to mention he performed a level 30 Hado spell without an incantation is very impressive. Especially for someone so young. I dare say I have found a possible new apprentice and a future Kido master. Tessai said in an excited tone. Not to mention, he created the illusion to distract Kazuki as he knew Kazuki could easily break it. He then used that distraction to perform Byakurai. But that was also Anyo. Ruse to get Kazuki wide open to be trapped in the Bakudo spell before blasting him with a Sokatsui. A rather impressive strategy for a 7-year-old to come up with. His is also pretty good for someone so young. Though it will take more than that to beat Urahara. Yoruichi complimented. As the smoke cleared, the 3 observers could see Naruto panting slightly as was crouched down to one knee. A few feet away from Kazuki appeared from the smoke. He looked rather amused as he looked completely unharmed except for the dirt covering his clothes. Naruto frowned at the lack of damage. He knew he should have expected much considering who he's facing, but it was a little disheartening that he couldn't at least leave a scratch on him. Well, I must say I am impressed. You are doing better than I expected. Tell me any more surprises. Naruto sighed. He only had one last trick that could help him. He Summoned his book again, and suddenly the book glowed as a dark sphere was released from the book as it flew into the ceiling of the arena. Everyone looked up to see Th. Slam into the ceiling as it enveloped the entire area in darkness as a golden moon began to appear. Well, that's a lovely moon, but how will this help you? Urahara mused out loud. Suddenly, everyone felt an incredible spike in spiritual energy. They turned to see Naruto H. A large claymore as he was enveloped in a dark blue aura as the moon shined brightly. Naruto looked up as his eyes glowed a deep yellow and gained much more feral fitu. Urahara slight tensed as he raised his blade. Looks like I should get a little serious. Right, Naruto-chan. Urahara teased before dropping the goofy facade as he began his spiritual pressure. Awaken, Benihime, Urahara said as his Zanpakuto glowed as it turned into its Shikai state. Naruto growled before disappearing again using his Shunpo. Reacting quickly, Urahara raised his blade as the claymore was slammed into his blade. Naruto growled as he lunatic further into Urahara, who didn't seem to be struggling at all. Is that all? He teased again with that annoying grin of his. Something that pisses Naruto off as he grew angrier with his aura reacting to his rage as it got even bigger and darker. He roared as he pushed Urahara away. The candy salesman skidded back a few feet but did not seem too concerned. He looked up to see Naruto appear right in front of him with his claymore over his head. Naruto roared as he swung downward. Chikasumi no Tate. Naruto slammed his claymore into the blood mist shield as shockwaves erupted from the collision of the two attacks. The berserker blonde growled, released more of his Reiatsu as he pushed lunatic further. Urahara was actually impressed to see cracks appear on Benihime's shield. He couldn't help but smile. Not bad, kid. You'll go far, but you still have a long way to go. Urahara thought as he shouted. Nake, Benihime. A crimson blade of energy erupted from the Zanpakuto. Naruto was forced to cease his attack and use the claymore as a makeshift shield. The blonde attempted to push the attack back, but it was just too strong as he was sent skidding back. Naruto roared as he finally deflected the attack away from him. The moon suddenly disappeared along with Naruto's aura as he fell to his hands and knees in exhaustion. That attack was even stronger than what the Sero that bastard Natria blasted him with. Naruto then felt cold steel at his neck. He looked up to see Urahara front of him with the tip of Benihime ready to pierce his flesh. Yield, Urahara commanded in a cold tone. Naruto glared defiantly but knew this was his loss. I yield. Naruto relented after a tense minute. Urahara retracted his blade, went back into its sealed state. So, how was that? Naruto asked. Urahara stared at Naruto for a good few seconds before. That was rather impressive. Kazuki happily exclaimed as he suddenly took out his fan and waved it enthusiastically. Naruto blinked. Huh? He asked in a confused tone. To admit this, but Aizen trained you well. You have pretty good speed and reaction time for someone your age. You also have a good head on your shoulders when it comes to G. Chaining those attacks and Kido spells to catch me off guard is a pretty good strategy. Plus it seems you have a good grasp of your spiritual energy. Urahara expressed in his usual happy tone. Though you have some shortcomings. Your Zanjutsu still needs some work, your Hakuda looks to be non-existent, your Shunpo still needs a lot off before it can surprise captains, and that rage mode while useful is rather ineffective in prolonging fights. I recommend saving it for a last resort if you ever plan to use it. Naruto nodded. Urahara then turned to their approaching spectators. Well, what do you guys think? Shinji clicked his tongue in annoyance. You basically said everything we're all thinking. So I have nothing to add. I believe I have found someone I can pass my teachings to. Not since Hachi have I seen someone with such potential in Kido. Tessai said. Now you mention it, Hachi probably wouldn't mind teaching his barrier Kido to the kid. The rest of us can take turns working on his combat experience. Who knows, if we him in enough dangerous situations in our spars, we can unlock more weapons and abilities. Naruto looked slightly concerned at what Shinji was implying by dangerous situations. I'm sure I can do something with his Hakuda and Shunpo. Who knows, Maybe I'll have someone to pass my title onto as well. Yoruichi teased. Naruto looked at the talking cat weirdly. Who's the talking cat? Naruto asked. The black cat chuckled for a few seconds. Oh, my apologies. I haven't introduced myself. I am Yoruichi. Shiri. Naruto felt his eyes widen in surprise. Wait, you're Yoruichi? He asked in a confused tone. Yoruichi blinked a few times at Naruto's reaction. Wow, that was a lackluster response. You surprised to see a talking cat? She sarcastically asked. Naruto merely shrugged. I have lived in Hueco Mundo for years. I have seen weirder shit. Yoruichi jumped and scratched Naruto across the nose with her claws. Gah! Naruto cried in pain as he clutched his nose. Yoruichi merely blew on her nails in boredom. Naruto glared at the black feline. What the fuck was that F? Naruto screamed before Yoruichi scratched him again. Gah! Language. Looks like your manners is something else, Tessai. And I will have to work on. Yoruichi lectured. Naruto growled but kept his mouth shut before he said something else. The others just looked at the interaction in amusement. Can you explain why you can turn to a cat at least? Naruto asked in a confused tone. It's a special ability that my family gained a long time ago. Maybe I'll tell you later. Yoruichi then got a mischievous glint in her eyes that all the other men recognized. But I guess I can show you my true self. Steam and smoke covered the area as the black cat was enveloped in the steam as it's morphed and changed into a much more humanoid shape. When the steam cleared, standing before Naruto was a beautiful and busty woman with ebony skin tone and violet-colored hair that went down her back. There was also an important part that she completely naked. Naruto blushed to atomic levels of red. Yoruichi giggled in amusement. Wow, what a cute reaction. Do you like what you see, Naruto-kun? She teased. Did the only thing he could do at the moment. He fainted. Everyone blinked a few times before they all chuckled in amusement. Things were going to get very interesting for the young blonde-haired boy. 2 years later, Naruto sighed as placed his finished ramen cup after watching something interesting on TV. For some reason, he always felt a sense of fulfillment from eating a cup of ramen. He had a very healthy diet thanks to his strict guardians that stopped him from eating too much ramen but enjoying it in short increments. Hey Urahara, I am going out for a bit. Naruto called out to his guardian and mentor. It's pouring out there, Urahara called back. Naruto rolled his eyes as he approached the door. Relax, I'll wear one of your coats. That'll keep me warm and away from unusual sensors. I just need to get some fresh air. Naruto replied as he took one of Urahara's special coats and puts it on. As Naruto opens the door, he hears Urahara call out again. Alright, just be careful, and if you get into any trouble just release your spiritual energy and I'll come to rescue. Cute godson. Naruto felt several veins pop on his head. I am not cute nor am I helpless, godfather. He retorted back. Naruto's eyebrow twitches as he hears Urahara's laughter. But what kind of parental figure would I be if I did not worry? He questioned. Naruto snorted. Fine. Whatever. Have a safe trip. Urahara called out one last time as Naruto closed the door. Naruto sighed in annoyance as he jumped into the pouring rain. The young blonde enjoyed nights out as they helped him clear his mind. It was hard to believe that 2 years have gone by since he first landed in front of Urahara's candy shop, but time just seems to fly by. Thinking about these 2 years, bro. Smile to face. They were the best years of his young life prior to the fire in the orphanage. While he still missed Namine, his new family did their best to mend the wounds. If some of them sucked at being emotional support. Tessai was a patient, but diligent teacher when teaching Naruto Kido. He always stressed to be quick but precise when performing them as one misstep could end in desist. Tessai also stressed having constant control of his spiritual energy. Having control allows him to know how much spiritual power to give a spell and not to waste a single OU. It could mean the difference between life and death. Urahara was similar in his teaching methods but was much more jovial in attitude. Urahara continued the studies that Aizen had begun in Hueco Mundo. The older blonde On refining everything Naruto learned from the rogue Shinigami and testing the young blonde to ensure that Naruto understood and remembered everything he was taught. Even taught Naruto about the Hogyoku and why he created it in the first place. Although there was one oddity in the lessons. The Quincy. Aizen did mention the Quincy in his lessons. Their abilities, history, and destruction by the Shinigami. But when Naruto asked about how the Quincy came to be, Aizen expl. that records of such time were non-existent. This surprised Naruto as Aizen usually knew everything, but Aizen remained his usual amused, stoic self when he explained the information was meaningless to him for now. This always left Naruto confused, and when he asked Urahara about this, he hoped the older blonde could clear this confusion, but Urahara just jovially said even he did know everything. But Naruto knew there was something off with his answer, but shrugged it off for now. Then there was Yoruichi. Naruto shuddered as he remembered his training with his self-proclaimed godmother. As the former commander of Squad 2 and Stealth Corp, Yuru not pull any punches in her training. When she said she found a potential heir successor, she actually meant it and trained Naruto to one day surpass her and take her title of Flash Goddess. Yoruichi trained N to be a high-tier member of the Onmitsukido and beyond. She taught him about their philosophy and their minds. To strike when the opportunity arises, and to do so quick. Without remorse. To stay in the shadows waiting for your enemy to slip, and to travel without making a single noise. She trained Naruto to be assassin that would be unriva. Surprisingly, Naruto took the training as a fish does to water. It was almost like he was born to be an assassin. The Vizards were an interesting bunch. They were all like his aunts and uncles. All of them usually focused on combat training to expand Naruto's current weapons and ab. While also seeing if they could unlock more abilities. The ones that took the majority of this part of his training were most of the Vizards, except for Lisa and Hachi, the lat. Focusing on his training in Barrier Kido and the former attempting to corrupt the young blonde. Naruto shook the blush that appeared as he remembered some of the adult magazines he was shown by Lisa. Thankfully, Kensai was there to pull away from any unnecessary influence. Overall, he can say that he has enjoyed these 2 years. His power has increased exponentially as now he could probably take on most of the lower-ranking lieutenants Agote 13 and maybe a captain. He even unlocked 4 other weapons. Naruto idly wondered how many more weapons, abilities will he be able to awaken, and what will the him. To this day, Urahara still has not been able to understand how to categorize his powers. He explained the closet powers they matched were Shinigami, and that was due to Aizen implanted the Zanpakuto shards that were embedded with pieces of his soul and their ability to purify hollows. While the method was much more brutal, it was similar how Shinigami imbue their power into their Asachi to become their true Zanpakuto. So far, Urahara was not sure what other abilities Naruto will unlock, but he did know Naruto will only get more powerful from this. He would probably be the most unpredictable spiritual being that has ever lived. Naruto was not sure whether to take that as a compliment or insult as Urahara gave that happy grin as he flapped his fan when he said. Naruto was cut from musing down memory lane when he heard someone. He paused on top of a pole as looked at the scene below him. A young boy that looked to be Theage's Naruto with the spiky orange hair was running down a hill. He could see a woman with similar color hair, presumably the boy's mother, calling after the boy. However, worried Naruto was what the boy was going to. The young boy believes he's stopping a young girl from committing suicide. However, what the boy did not see is that the gone illusion. It was nothing more than the lore of a hollow. This was not just any hollow. This was Grand Fisher. An infamous hollow that had escaped Shinigami for over 40 y. Shit, that kid can see spiritual beings, but probably can't tell the difference yet, Naruto said in frustrations as he leapt forward. Ichigo, come back here. Masaki cried as she ran after her son. Just wait. Mom. Ichigo cried back as he kept running to the girl that was standing at the edge of the rive. Need to save her, he muttered in a serious tone. Wait. Don't do it. Masaki cried to no avail as Ichigo reached the girl. However, the young child was surprised when he approached the girl, only for his hand to go right. Her. Huh? He asked in confusion as he suddenly heard a dark and malicious chuckle close to him. Bleach Ost. Invasion. Foolish boy. A dark voice slurred that caused a chill to go down Ichigo's spine. You'll be a tasty treat before the main course. Ichigo slowly turns to see the dark silhouette of Grand Fisher looking down at him with a large and malicious grin as he raised his right claw. Ichigo continued to look in fear until he heard his mother scream. Ichigo. That was the last thing the young boy heard before everything became a blur before losing consciousness. Masaki looked over her son before finally sighing in Ray. Good. He's okay, she said with a smile. However, the sickening growls of Grand Fisher caused her to scowl as she turned to glare at him. You'll regret that, hollow, she w. In a venomous tone. Grand Fisher chuckled at his amusing food. Oh really? And why is that? Masaki continued to glare as she fully turned to face Grand Fisher. Because I will kill you, she. In a resolute tone. Grand Fisher blinks a few times before laughing uncontrollably. Ha. Do you know how many Shinigami have said that and have been killed by me? What makes you different? Grand Fisher mocked. Well, for one, she has backup. Shouted a voice as 6 lances impaled Grand Fisher's palms, ankles, and back. Arg. Grand Fisher screeched in pain. Masaki watched in stunned silence as the infamous Hollow tried to maneuver out of his entrapment with no avail. Suddenly Bo noticed Naruto's appearance as he pulled his hood down to reveal his face. A child. Both screamed in shock. Who are you? Masaki asked, but Naruto kept his eyes on Grand Fisher as his lances, Lindworm, kept him in place. That doesn't matter right now. Get T away now. Take Ikid and run as far as you can. Naruto replied. I appreciate the help, but I can't leave you alone to fight that thing. Masaki screamed. Did the boy not understand how dangerous that hollows can be? Especially one as infamous as Grand Fisher. Relax, I can handle this. A normal human can't do anything. Naruto retorted. Masaki felt the need to snort in amusement. That is where you are wrong. I am not a normhuman. I can fight. This got Naruto to turn slightly to Masaki with a raised eyebrow. Oh yeah, how? Masaki merely smiled as she raised her right arm as a silver bracelet came out with a unique cross symbol. Suddenly Reishi began collecting around the bracelet as it formed out of spiritual energy. Naruto fully turned to her with wide eyes. A Quincy, he said in shock. That shouldn't be possible. The only family of Quincy should be the Ishida. Urahara told him. Naruto's widened before narrowing as he realized that Urahara was indeed hiding something from him. Oh, Godfather, you and I are gonna have a long talk after this. Suddenly a beam of light fell from the heavens enveloped Masaki. What the hell? Naruto screamed in shock and worry as he felt Masaki's spiritual energy drain from body. When the light disappeared, Naruto quickly rushed to Masaki's side. Hey lady, what's going on? The Oswalin light. My bastard of a king has made his selections. For his army. Oswalin. King. What king? What army? Naruto tried to question, but Masaki had already lost consciousness. Naruto grew worried as her pulse became weak. Shit s. Won't make it if I don't take her back to Urahara, Naruto muttered. He quickly grabbed Ichigo and put him along with Masaki on his back. He was about to leave when a monstrous growl. He turned to see Grand Fisher freed from the 6 lances, glaring down at him hatefully. Where you think you're going? None of you are escaping alive. Naruto blinked a few times. Well shit. This is embarrassing. I almost forgot about you. Grand Fisher roared as he was about to strike Naruto when a dark figure delivered fierce right hook that sent him skidding a few feet. The hollow turned and was shocked to see a dark shape with yellow eyes and a heart-shaped hole on its chest. What world are you? Guardian. Get them to Urahara, now. Naruto commanded. The now named Guardian nodded as it flew towards Naruto and grabbed the two and were beginning to dissap. A column of darkness. I will not let you take my prey, Arg. Grand Fisher started before it shouted in pain as 2 lances flew down and cut deeply into his shoulders. Fisher growled in pain. Glared at Naruto. It opened its maw as reishi collected inside as it formed a red sphere. Naruto's eyes narrowed as the lances disappeared as his hands sparked with blue electricity. Die brat. It roared as it fired its Sero towards Naruto. The young blonde raised his hands as a screen wall appeared in front of him as it once more blocked the. However, unlike before, he could hold the Sero off without being pushed off. Naruto pushed forward as the Sero was sent right back in several different beams. Grand Fisher's eyes widened as he was bombarded with his own Sero in a crimson explosio. Naruto gazed at the smoke cloud as he waited for Grand Fisher to appear. He knew it would take more than that to kill him. Suddenly Naruto heard some cracking noise. Quickly jumps as several orange spikes suddenly rose from the ground. One of them managed to nip Naruto's cheek. He looked that out of the smoke was an angry looking Fisher with blood flowing down its damaged left eye and several burns around its body. Naruto quickly summoned his next weapon. Water began drawing into his palms as he brought them together, and in a flash, one of his new weapons appeared. It was in shape of a sitar in varying shades of blue. This was Arpeggio, one of the weapons that Naruto unlocked in the last 2 years. Naruto began to play a fast-paced tune. He will always be thankful to Rose for teaching him how to play his weapon. Dance water. Dance. Naruto shouted as the weight around him began itself to condense into various musical notes. The notes lunged towards a stunned Grand Fisher, who growled at these childish games. Grand Fisher easily ripped through the water constructs with ease as he turned to Naruto, but surprised to see he was gone. He believed that Naruto was gone, but shout pain as he felt several sharp objects pierce his back. He looked to his back to see several yellow knives embedded into him. Hey, ugly. Grand Fisher looked up to see Naruto up in the air with the same knives on his back in between the boy's fingers. Naruto gave him a smirk as electricity danced around the knives. Foudre. Grand Fisher's eyes widened. Hope you enjoy this. Thunder. Naruto shouted as electricity crackled on the knives as a lightning bolt descended from the and struck the hollow. Grand Fisher shrieked in pain as its entire body was electrified. Naruto smirked in satisfaction as the smoking body of Grand Fisher fell to the ground. Naruto used a shunpo to appear just a few feet away from Grand Fisher. He dismissed knives as he summoned the ethereal blades to settle this. However, he was surprised to see Grand Fisher get back on his feet. Naruto narrowed his eyes in anticipation. It would take more to take Grand Fisher down. There was a reason why he was so infamous to souls and Shinigami. Naruto was about to strike again when the doll he used to fool Ichigo appears in front of him. Naruto scoffed and kept going as Grand Fisher covered the doll's head with enlarged hands. Naruto was about to strike but froze when Grand Fisher released his grip on the doll's head. However, it was not the same face from before. The doll's face was now of someone Naruto had not seen in years. The same pale blonde hair and deep blue eyes that matched his own. Naruto, she said softly. Naruto deactivated his blades. He stared in shock. Namin. Squelch. Naruto coughed out blood as he looked down to see Grand Fisher's fingers stabbing through his right shoulder, his left leg, his left collarbone, and twice on the right side. Oh. Gut. Ha 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 ha. You're absolutely pathetic. You all fall for the same trick. All I have to do is show you the face of a loved one and you all immediately crack. Unbelievable. Grand Fisher mocked as he looked at the Namin's looks. I wonder if I can find this girl after I finish devouring you. I bet she will be a delightful dish. Grand Fisher said in a dark, delighted tone. Bleach Ost. Fade to black B13A. Suddenly it felt something grab his right arm as he was bombarded with an incredibly potent spiritual pressure. He looked down to see Naruto have a gigantic black aura. Boy was looking down at the ground. Do you hear this monster's boasts? He plans to kill you. To rip you into pieces. Will you allow it to happen? A voice said. Never. Naruto replied back. Will you stand for his mockery of Namin's memory? What about his claims to eat her as well? Naruto looked up and Grand Fisher was surprised to see changes in the boy's appearance. His hair was a bit wilder and his whiskers had become more pronounced and Faradith had elongated into fangs. However, It was the eyes that were the most surprising. The sclera was now completely black and his pupils were golden yellow with black. He won't get away with this, Naruto muttered as he gripped Grand Fisher's arms even tighter. The Hollow was surprised to see the boy actually pull his arms out of him. Joe powerful was this brat. However, his shock only grew as the wounds began to slowly heal and close. What the hell? High-speed regeneration. Just what are you, boy? Grand Fisher shouted in shock. Naruto glared intensified as his spiritual pressure increased even more. I'm gonna kill you. Do you want the power to finish him? Give it to me or go away. I have 7 other weapons that can do the job. Settle down, boy. No need to be so demanding. Now channel the darkness and show this abomination our power. The voice said in amusement. Naruto rose his right arm as the palm began to glow an eerie violet and black. Grand Fisher tried to attack Naruto, but Naruto swiped his right arm as a flash covered the T. When the flash cleared, Grand Fisher screeched in pain as he looked at the stump that was once his limb. He glared to see the new weapon in the boy's arm. The weapon was in the shape of some blade. It had a black handle with a spiral design. The pommel and guard resembled some kind of black, demonic wings. The base B. The handle and the blade were in the shape of a goat. At the top of the blade was Blue Jewel with a slitted eye gazing at him. It was rather unnerving. However, the oddest was that the blade resembled a giant key. Naruto gave a brief glance to his new weapon before looking at Grand Fisher. No name. Now show him your strength. Naruto immediate struck as he cut off Grand Fisher's other arm. The Hollow screeched in pain. Naruto quickly jumped forward and grabbed Doll's face as he glared at her impassive smile. With one swift cut, he destroyed the doll's head and cut the cord connecting it to Grand Fisher. ARRRRRGGHHH. You bastard child. Grand Fisher screeched in anger and pain. Naruto suddenly appeared in front of Grand Fisher as he reared his left fist and SW. He broke right through its teeth and grabbed onto his disgusting, slimy tongue. Naruto then began to pull as Grand Fisher was flailing all over the place. Naruto smirked. Dahe began to see blood pool and a ripping sound could be heard. You won't ever hurt anyone again, Naruto said in a low tone as he ripped the tongue out. Grand Fisher vomited gallons of blood as it screamed in agony. Naruto continued to look at the monster with contempt. This monster had killed hundreds of people for years. Many were women and children. It made Naruto want to puke. It was time to end this abomination's existence. Naruto got on top of Grand Fisher's mouth and opened it wide. Mercy, it begged, but Naruto was having none of that as he raised his other arm with no heart into its. As Reishi began to emit from the blade. There's no mercy here. And I would never give it to trash like you. Blade beam. Naruto roared. The blade attack did its job as it ripped off the left side of Grand Fisher's. From the inside out, several other chunks were sent in several other directions. Naruto let go of the remaining half of Grand Fisher's half as it fell with a loud, squishy thud. Naruto continued to look blankly at the still twitchy remains as the smaller pieces were slowly disintegrating into nothingness. End of theme. Naruto felt a sudden chill go down as the area around him began to grow dark. He saw his breath become visible from the drop in temperature. What? He began to say. A large pair of doors appeared before him. They were bright red with bright flame designs adorning the doors. There were 2 skeletons on each side and in the center with black columns with gold accents connecting. Columns on each side. Naruto looked at the doors in shock as he muttered in a quiet tone. The gates of hell. He remembered both Aizen and Urahara mentioning them in their lectures. But learning and experiencing them are 2 very different things. Suddenly a large creak was the doors slightly open. Suddenly a large blade came rushing out of the opening as it pierced the remains of Grand Fisher. Naruto watched in morbid fascination as the SWO retracted back into the gate with remains of the Hollow still on it. The gates soon closed again and the gates shuddered for a few seconds before shattering into pieces. Everything soon became normal as the rain began pouring on the lit blonde once again. Naruto also could not hear the voice from before anymore. He sighed as he dismissed his new weapon before putting his hands together for a prayer. May the souls eaten by Grand Fisher finally find peace. Naruto then summoned. Dark corridor as he walked in to return to Urahara's shop. Little did Naruto know was that his battle was being watched by several individuals. Individuals that will affect his life in the coming future. Unknown location. There is a strength to him. An elderly gruff voice said as he rewatched Naruto's fight with Grand Fisher. He's still a brat. Look how easily he fell to that trap. A complete loser. A harsh feminine voice stated as she twirled Foudre in her hands. Aw, come on. Cut him slack. He was blindsided by that. Plus he didn't let it get to him for long. He pulled off the win and that's what matters, right? A laid-back voice rees. As he played a light tune on arpeggio. He still wasted my guardian in sending those two away and never calling him back. A gruff voice said as he crossed his arms as he looked at the screen in annoyance. At least he called you out. Mumbled a voice with the silver book in his hands. Oh, lighten up. I'm sure he'll call you next time. The laid-back voice said. He still let his guard down and let himself get injured with a simple trick. He still needs to be disciplined. Now he has more people that will make him vulnerable. A stoic voice stated. All your points are valid. However, we must not be so concerned as of late. The boy is young. Let us allow him to grow on his own. Let us see how far he goes. A deep vow boomed as the others stayed quiet. Is it wise? We could make ourselves known to him and train him to become what he must be. A warrior with an unbreakable will, with blood as hard as iron, bones as stirred steel, and a body of metal. This recent battle shows that he is still mentally and emotionally vulnerable. Something our enemies will take advantage of. A mild gruff voice. With all 6 lindworms dancing around him. Patience. We have waited for 5 years. We can wait a few more years. We have all the time in the world. And when that time comes, the boy will know of our existence. Inevitable. The elderly voice spoke again as he looked at the screen of Naruto destroying Grand Fisher. As you wish, master. The other voices spoke. Urahara's shop a few hours later. Smack. O.W. Naruto howled in pain as held his head where a large lump was forming on top of it. He looked up to glare at the angry scowl of Yoruichi. You idiot. What were you thinking of taking on Grand Fisher alone? Do you know how infamous he is for the number of souls he's devoured? I had no choice. I couldn't let those two die. It wouldn't be right. You taught me better. Urahara better. To leave them would be spitting on everything you all taught me. Would be no different than Aizen. Not to mention I have handled far worse than that bastard. Yoruichi glared for several more minutes before sighing and taking a sip of sake she had near her. Oh Kami, where did you get this stubbornness from? She asked her self-tired tone. Naruto just gave his godmother a slight smirk. You, Urahara, most of the vizards, and I have always been like this. Yoruichi suddenly glomped Naruto in a tight hug. I am just glad you're okay. Naruto gave an annoyed sigh, but nonetheless smiled as he returned the hug. Thanks, godmother. The two stayed in the hug for a few minutes before separating. How are those two? Naruto asked in concern. He was worried how Masaki was hit by that pillar of light and lost most of her power. Then there was the kid, Ichigo. Yoru giggled at Naruto's concern. He sounded and looked so adorable. Why don't you come and look for yourself? The two stood and walked into one of the private rooms of Th. Store used to treat the injured. They opened the door to see Masaki seating and talking with Urahara and a man that Naruto believes to be her husband. Hello. Yoruichi cheerfully exclaimed. Everyone turned to see the new pair in the room. The moment Masaki saw Naruto, she dashed towards him and enveloped him in a hug. Thank Kami, you're okay. I was worried sick. She cried happily. Naruto could not respond as his face turned into different shades of blue as he desperately tried to breathe. Escape the woman's monstrous hug. Masaki, you should let him go, or else you'll suffocate him. The other man said in a joking manner. Masaki looked down to see Naruto's death-like state. Gomen. Naruto-kun. Masaki cried comically as she shook the child in her arms. Naruto eventually got his baron. He looked at the woman. Of all the ways to nearly die, suffocation from hugs was definitely not on his list. It's okay. Naruto finally answered. Naruto turned to the other man. You are? Naruto began before the man began to chuckle in embarrassment. Sorry. My name is Isshin Kurosaki. I want to thank you for my wife and son, Ichigo. Isshin. Why does that name seem familiar? Naruto thought as he heard the name before. Suddenly his eyes widen as he recalled that Aizen had mentioned him before. Isshin Shiba, aren't you? Naruto asked out loud. He briefly saw everyone stiffen before relaxing just as fast. Isshin just gave a boisterous laugh. I don't know what you're talking about. Isshin began before Naruto interrupted. Look, you're a terrible liar. I know your wife saw the hollow. She also tried to form a bow, which makes her a Quincy. Speaking of which, Naruto shouted as he reared as he glared at his godfather, who looked slightly nervous. You mind telling me why the Kurosaki family were never mentioned in your Quincy lectures on the remaining Q family lines? Naruto asked in a dark tone. Urahara nervously laughed at his godson's glare. Now, Naruto. You know that would be an invasion of privacy and to remain secretive from everyone. So I had to respect their wishes. Urahara explained. Naruto sighed as that explanation makes some sense, but something was still off. He turned at Masaki with his next question. What is the Oswalin light? He asked. Once more everyone stiffens. What? Isshin and Masaki asked as they hoped playing dumb would placate the boy. They were terribly wrong as everyone felt Naruto's Ryobagan to be released as he was enveloped in a black aura. Don't play dumb with me. I am not that gullible. Naruto roared as Guardian appeared above him with the NT building shaking and cracks appearing below Naruto. Masaki and Isshin were completely shocked. At Naruto's Reiatsu, Urahara quickly jumped in front of Naruto as he began waving his hands as Yoruichi hugged Naruto from behind. Whoa. Calm down, Naruto. No need to get Kazuki assured as he tried to calm his godson's anger. Both knew how Naruto hated to be tried like a naive child. Naruto continued to glare at everyone for a few minutes. Everyone sigh in relief as Naruto relaxed as his Reiatsu disappeared along with Guardian. He looked at Urahara with a serious gaze. Masaki said that her bastard king has selections for his army. What did she mean? Everyone sighed. Oh boy, Isshin said in exasperation. Masaki blushed in embarrassment as everyone looked towards her. All she could do was laugh nervously as she scr the back of her head. Sorry. She meekly said. Everyone shook their head as they did not blame her. Hell, the only reason she was alive was thanks to Naruto being there. Right place at the right time. He at least deserved to know as he would not stop trying to find the answer on his own. Urahara turned to Naruto. Okay. This what I know, Naruto. Thus Urahara began to explain most of the important details he left out about the Quincy. All Quincy lines come. A single individual. This individual was Yhwach. Over 1,000 years ago a war erupted between Yhwach and his army against the first incarnation of the Gote 13 with Genryusai Shigekuni Yamamoto leading them. At the climax, Yamamoto released his Bankai and supposedly killed him. However, Yhwach managed to hide and went into a sleep to recuperate his powers. As the years went on, a poem was passed through the Quincy. The poem referred to him as the sealed king and went as follows. After 900 years of being sealed, he would regain his pulse. After another 90, he would regain his intellect. And after 9 more years, he would absorb the power of every impure Quincy to make their abilities his own. The last line describes the Oswalin light. It's Yhwach making his selection of who he sees as true Quincy and would serve in his army. Those that he sees as unworthy impure are known as Gemisked have their power stripped as he absorbs them to further his power returning and his inevitable resurrection. The Quincy who have their pow taken are left vulnerable and can die if left alone or in Masaki's case, attacked by a hollow. The ones that survive are who he considers as worthy, and pure or ect. That is, happened to Masaki. She will be able to get some of her powers back in time, but they will not be as powerful. Urahara explained he has been working to help speed up powers return, but that will still take time. By the end of the explaining, Naruto sighed in exasperation as he dragged his hands over his face. Just great. Another psycho T. Worry about. Naruto muttered before he suddenly had an epiphany. Wait, wouldn't that make Ichigo a Shinigami Quincy hybrid? Naruto noticed how everyone was shifting uneasily. Not exactly. It's a lot more complicated, Masaki said as she and Isshin take turns explaining how they and eventually together and had Ichigo. Naruto was gaping for a few seconds before finding his voice again. So Ichigo has the potential to have the powers of a Shinigami, Hollow, and Q. Everyone nodded. Not only that but also combine them to create an even greater power that has never been seen before. Naruto asked. Well, technically, I am not sure if he would have access to his Quincy heritage, but he did then yes he would be, Masaki explained as Naruto pinched the bridge of his nose. Day was bringing out more and more surprises. Naruto looked up to Masaki. Then why doesn't he know the difference between living people and dead souls? As that had bothering Naruto. If his parents knew about spirits, then why couldn't Ichigo tell the difference between the living and deceased spirits? We haven't kept track of him becoming spiritually aware. It's only now that we see how well he can see them. Masaki explained as Naruto nodded as that made sense. We'll train him. Naruto asked in a curious tone as he wondered how they planned to train the boy and how they would take into consideration how his powers would develop. And Isshin blinked in confusion. Huh? They asked. Naruto frowned. You heard me. He has unrivaled potential compared to any other Shinigami in existence. How do you train him? Masaki and Isshin looked straight at Naruto. That's just it. We don't want him to train, Isshin firmly said. Everyone felt the temperature of the room drop. Excuse me, H. asked quietly. I think I may have misheard you. I thought you just said you don't want him to train. Naruto said as he looked at the two. You heard right. Masaki replied. Once more Naruto released his Reiatsu as his black once more covered him, but this time the guardian did not come out. What the fuck you mean you won't train H? Naruto roared. Kazuki quickly grabbed Naruto's shoulder. Easy Naruto, Kazuki emphasized as he tried to get his godson to relax. Naruto breathed slowly as he glared at Kurosaki. Explain, he demanded. Masaki and Isshin gulped slightly at Naruto's glare before Isshin spoke up. This battle is between the Shinigami and Aizen and his hollows and later Yuwatch and his army. Battle that shouldn't children. Both parents got nervous as they saw Naruto growl at them, but thankfully Urahara and Yoruichi were calming him down. Isshin. That Iksu went out the window when you decided to knock up Masaki. The hollow you saved her from went to your son. He's basically Aizen's long-term experiment in creating a soup soldier. Do you think he would let that go? I wouldn't be surprised if he had something to do with Grand Fisher making an appearance. Naruto argued as it was odd to see Fisher at such a far-off location from where he usually hunts. Let's not forget the Gote 13 and Central 46. Look what they were going to the Visored, Tessai, and Urahara. What do you think they will do when they find out about his existence? Naruto asked as Isshin narrowed his eyes at him. That's why he needs to stay in hiding and live a normal life, Isshin argued. Naruto scoffed. You act as if you would be able to control everything Ichigo will do. One day H. come in contact with another hollow or maybe a Shinigami, or maybe fails to save someone and that will drive him to get stronger. If you trying to control how his life goes not parenting. And that makes both of you no different than what Aizen did to me. Naruto accused. Suddenly felt himself be hoisted up by an enraged Isshin. How dare Yoi nothing like that man. Isshin growled at Naruto's face who was unaffected by Isshin's intimidation act. Isshin put him down this instant. Masaki screamed as Isshin's eyes widened as he realized what he was doing. He quickly let Naruto offered an apology. Naruto said he deserved it for taking it too far. Isshin couldn't help but flinch at the glares Urahara and Yoruichi were giving him. I tread carefully about trying that again, Yoruichi warned. There's one more thing Isshin, Masaki. Naruto began again. You said Yuwatch was rising again. That he's a fascist leader and only wants the pure Quincy to live on. He probably sees Ichigo as an abomination. But he was not hit by the Oswalin light. Why? Naruto asked as no one could answer as they had no idea either. Naruto answered. It's because he sees a potential pawn to use. Let's not forget about your two daughters that are also hybrids. Do you think he'll let them go? No. He'll use them, and if they won't submit to him, he'll kill them as well. Need I remind you, Masaki, the only reason you survived the purge is because I managed to save you before a chunk of your flesh to Grand Fisher. Masaki and Isshin flinched as they knew Naruto was right, despite them wishing it was not. Aizen would let Ichigo go so easily, and would you watch? Urahara and Yoruichi had suspected Yuwatch may try to use the three children as his pawns. Hell, he could see Yuwatch using the girls to get Ichigo to obey commands. Masaki spoke up this time. You right. But we don't want him to get involved in this. It's our job as parents to keep him from those dangers. When he's ready, we will tell everything so that he can understand. Please understand that all a parent wants to do is keep their children safe. So that is what we will do until we can't. Masaki said, though. She did not sound as convinced as before. Naruto glared before scoffing. Well, isn't Ichigo lucky? Unfortunately, I have never had parents, so I don't understand. My only guardians died in a fire before I was abducted. Aizen and made into his lab rat. Naruto replied in a bitter and envious tone. Masaki and Isshin flinched for opening up some old wounds in the young boy. Sorry, they said in unison. Naruto shook his head. Forget it. I am used to it. Besides, I now have those two sadists for godparents now. Urahara and Yoruichi ruffled his, causing him to groan slightly as they chuckled in amusement. Masaki felt her heart go out for the boy. Naruto had never known what it meant to have a loving family waiting for you. Aizen had nearly stripped this boy of all his innocence. His own agenda. Urahara and Yoruichi can only do so much to help heal the scars. Naruto needs something more in his life. She wanted to help him in some way, especially he risked his life to save her. If only she could. Suddenly a light bulb went off in her head as she now had a brilliant idea to implement. I have made up my mind. Maskai declared as she slowly got up to her feet. Isshin held onto her as she walked her way towards Naruto. I will compromise with you. Naruto raised an eyebrow in confusion. How? We will teach the basics of sensing, Hakuda, and Zanjutsu to Ichigo. Everyone looked at Masaki in confusion. How would you do that? Naruto asked as they wanted to get away from all this. How would he teach him all this while keeping him in the dark? Well, Ichigo is in a karate class. I'm sure Yoruichi could enroll as a teacher and help and everyone else the basics of the form, and this would help us keep track of any other spiritual aware humans. We also can add meditation classes to help keep himself in control and start the foundation for sensing and using his Reiatsu. Masaki then turned to the flash goddess. If you don't mind, Yoruichi. She asked in a slightly embarrassed tone as this would depend on her agreeing to it. Yoruichi scratched her chin before shrugging. Sure, why not? At least that will keep busy for these upcoming years besides privately training Naruto. Everyone sweat D. Her response. So easygoing. Everyone thought. Naruto shook his head as looks at Masaki. What do I get out of this? Masaki gave a cheeky smile as she raised two fingers. 1. You. Able to keep an eye on Ichigo and anyone else that may be spiritually aware. Naruto continued to stare at Masaki. Okay. He drawled out slowly. And the second thing IOF this. Masaki responded by giving him a big smile. Well, you become part of our family, of course. She cheerfully exclaimed. Huh? A stunned Naruto asked as he voiced everyone else's thoughts. It's simple, Masaki said with a wide smile. We adopt you and you can keep an eye on Ichigo until he develops as a Shinigami, and we can decide when to tell him everything. Naruto looked utterly stunned while Isshin was actually nodding in agreement. He turned to see what Urahara and Yoruichi were also looking very interested in the idea. Turned back to Masaki in confusion. Why would you want to adopt me? Naruto couldn't help but ask. Why was Masaki so adamant about this? Masaki crouched down to S. Naruto nearly eye to eye. Because Naruto, you need a family. You have been so alone for such a long time. You deserve it. Plus you need to socialize with kids your age. N. Mention get an education. K.H. Ost. Dearly beloved BBS. She does make excellent points Naruto. Urahara chirped happily. Naruto frowned as he looked down. Are you sure you want someone like me there? Naruto asked in a. He wasn't exactly the purest or nice child. Would they want their kids exposed to someone like him? Suddenly he felt soft hands on his cheeks as they raised his head to say. Masaki giving him a heartwarming smile. All I see is a little boy that deserves to have a loving family to go home to. So what do you say, Naruto? Isshin asked as crouched right next to Masaki and gave a similar smile to Naruto. Naruto looked back to see Urahara and Yoruichi giving him encouraging looks. He gave Masaki a small smile. Alright, Masaki. Masaki then glomped Naruto in a soft, but firm hug. It's Kasen now, Naruto, she said in a resolute tone. Naruto choked as tried to bring the words out. Hi, KK Ka-san. Naruto blushed a bit at the unfamiliar world. Masaki giggled at his uneasiness as she scratched his whisk, which caused him to purr in content. Masaki couldn't help but squeal in enjoyment. So cute. As she held Naruto even tighter with Isshin joining in. Let me go. Naruto cried in exasperation as tried to escape his new parents' fierce hug with his godparents watching in amusement. After getting Masaki and Isshin to let. Before Isshin spoke up again. Well then let's introduce you to your siblings. He cheerfully said as the two led Naruto to his new family with him being rather nervous if the would accept him. When they slid a door open, Naruto heard two distinct girls and one boy shout. Kasen, Tusen. Naruto looked as Masaki and Isshin gave their three children a big family. Looked like a happy family. No, his family. This will take some time. Naruto thought to himself. The three children soon took notice of the additional person in the room. Quote. This. The young girl, with light blonde hair asked in a curious tone. The other girl with black hair also looked just as curious along with Ichigo. He looks funny, Karen said bluntly and caused Naruto to sweat drop as he dropped his head. Masaki and Isshin giggled in amusement. Now, that is no way to talk tea. New brother. Isshin lectured. Eehhhhhhhh. All three children shouted in shock as they looked at Naruto in a new light. That's right. Kids, meet your new brother, Naruto Kurosaki. Naruto felt a little self-conscious at all the starring of his new siblings. Hello, he said nervously as he gave a slight wave. Suddenly Naruto was glomped by the twin G. Yay. The two girls shouted. We have a new brother. The blonde girl cheered happily. The black-haired girl turned to Ichigo who was still standing in shock. Ichi ni say h. Ichigo was snapped out of his shock as he walked toward as Naruto stood up. The two looked at one another before Ichigo broke the silence. Thank you, Ichigo said. Nar raised an eyebrow. For what? Mom told me how you rescued the two of us. That was really brave. Naruto looked at Masaki as she gave a wink. Naruto snorted before refocusing on Ichigo. It was not. Ichigo shook his head. It is. Also, I'm sorry. I was the one that went running after the ghost. My parents explained it to me. If I had been more careful, this wouldn't have happened. You or mom could have gotten hurt and ow. Ichigo was ranting until he was stopped by a flick to the head by Naruto. Naruto gave him a mild glare. You were annoying. I don't blame you for what happened and no one else does. Learn from this mistake and get stronger so you don't mock mistake again. That is what your name means, right? You are a protector. So become one. Naruto lectured. Ichigo looked at his new brother before laughing out loud. Naru looked confused at what was so funny. Hey, sorry. It's just you already sound like the smart older brother. Ichigo explained. Naruto blushed as he turns his head to the S. Embarrassment. Shut up. Naruto muttered. The two heard a cough as they looked to see Isshin and Masaki gushing at the interaction. Now then, why don't you properly introduce yourselves? Isshin offered. The two boys looked at one another as Ichigo offered his hand. Nice to meet you, Ni-san. My name is Ichigo Kurosaki. Ichigo said in a cheerful tone and cheeky smile. Naruto smiled. Things were looking up as he shook Ichigo's hand. Hello, Ichigo, my name is Naruto. Naruto Kurosaki.